So my text was James chapter 1 verses 19 through 27, which is the section of scripture talking about how we must be slow to speak, slow to anger, and quick to listen. And then also how when one looks in the mirror and forgets what they immediately look like after walking away from it, and also um, is foolish. But then the person who looks into the perfect law is going to be blessed by God, continuing to do good work. So in the context of when James, excuse me, wrote this originally, was talking to a very Jewish context because he was writing to the Jews scattered amongst the winds that have been spread across the world over countless years of being conquered, divided, conquered, divided, conquered, divided, as is the current history of Israel. And so when he wrote to the context of these people, he wrote to them to tell them that what they need to do is they need to be good listeners to their teachers. They must be slow to be angry at what they tell them because Jewish people are very seeped in their traditions and what they do, and they must be slow to speak, to not put their foot in their mouth, kind of like Peter does all the time. And then when he tells them to not just look at the law of what God has told us to do, and to not just look at the law and forget immediately what it says, as you see Jews often do. They look at the law, they say they know it, but they don't ever actually follow through with it. And that is what James is saying to them, and why when he says, "For those who look into the perfect law shall be blessed in what they do," and that they'll look after the widows and orphans, he's talking about how they are going to need to do such. And then 21st application is that we as people often do the same exact thing as the Jews. Yes, we don't follow the law as tediously as they do because we are not Jews, we are Gentiles. But we are still called to follow the law and what God calls us to do in order to live a life honoring Him and to do as He commands. And we often look at the Bible, see what it says, and immediately forget what it says. And so, 3 specific things that Christians should do in order to live out this passage is they need to obviously be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger, because that brings out the righteousness that God desires in us. Unlike being quick to anger, we need to look at what we are taught in the Bible and through Scripture, and not just forget it immediately after reading it. Go, oh, that was a good passage, and then go, what did I just read again? We need to actually follow through with it and live it out by example, as an example James gave of watching out for the orphans and widows in our community because they are hurting and they need our help. That's what I learned from this section of Scripture this semester.